Hey, it's Zach from Us versus Herd, coming back today with another video. So what I want to talk about today is the Tastyworks web platform. So I did the desktop platform, I did a tutorial of it, and I'm going to do a tutorial of the web platform now. So let me explain a couple things about this platform. So I'm going to basically give you a basic overview of how it differs from other platforms like, let's say, Thinkorswim or eTrade Pro or something like that. It's a little bit different and it's pretty unique in the way that it functions. So what I want to teach you is how to basically make an order, an order on options trading. So I want to show you how to create an order, how to execute it, and also I'm going to show you some of the features that they offer that other brokerages don't offer on their platforms. All right, so let's get into it. I'm going to go to the trade tab first because this is where you spend most of your time. Okay, so as this is a more unique platform, there's going to be a little bit of a different interface. As you can see, this is a lot different from the desktop platform, as it's like when you hit trade, it's kind of like a pop-up on top of the page you were looking at, because you can see back here. If you look back here, that's the page I was on. You can just hit exit and you can tell that's the background. So if I go back and hit trade again, you'll see that it's basically a pop-up. It's a little weird and doesn't give you the full thing. I recommend using the desktop platform if you're going to be using Tastyworks as your broker to trade with. But if you're going to be using this platform for whatever reason, then I'm going to show you some of the things. So this basically right here is going to be the table view. So there's a couple different types of views on here. This is the table view. There's also the curve view. If you like, you can use either or. So this is more of a traditional looking view. This is how you the table you'd find like at other brokerages. As you can see, the options are up here, and this is so since they're an options based company, meaning they trade options primarily, so their platform is primarily for options traders. You'll notice that stock is actually a button of layout. This is to buy and sell stock and not options, but you can see how simple it is. It's a very, very simple looking interface here. It's not very complex at all. So that's why it's important that you want to probably not use this platform if you're a day trader. If you're just trading and buying and selling stock, I wouldn't recommend it. If you are, however, an options trader, I do recommend using the platform. I just recommend using the desktop, but that's not the argument here. So this is the curve. So as you can see, this is the table. This is a more traditional way of trading options. You can see the strike, the expiration here, your implied volatility rank, the bid, the ask, and they incorporate things like the delta here, which is pretty interesting that they incorporate that right on the table here. So this is your order on the right here. You'll notice that. So that's basically just showing you what your order looks like if you were to put it through. So let's go into the curve, which I think is the most unique piece about this, but I think this is where I'm going to show you guys how to execute a trade. I'm not going to fully execute it. I'm going to get almost all the way there, but I'm not going to actually, trade it because I'm not actually looking to get in a trade. I'm just trying to make the video for educational purposes. So you go here. Depends on what strategy you like to use, but they have some preset strategies. So if you go to strategies here, and you like, let's say I like short put vertical, as I'm a bit bullish at the moment. You go here and hit go. And as you can see, there's these legs, or they call them legs, these pegs that got opened up here. And so let's say you wanted to do a trade for this week. So this is the expiration here. It says 18 days. What you're going to do is you're going to go up to expirations and hit minus, and it'll go down to the next expiration available. You hit it again, and there you go. So 4 days is the closest expiration for this that you can go. And as you can see here, you see how it says 1. That's just the amount of contracts you're getting. So let's say I just move this over. Let's say I'm going to do something. Let's move it to Apple because a little easier. Okay, so we'll go back here, hit go, and we'll drop the expiration down to 4 days. Okay, so like let's say I was looking at a trade, just for looking at the board here. And okay, so this is what you got here. So let's say we're looking at this trade here. It's 4 days out, and I wouldn't necessarily think this is a good trade, but this is I'm just looking at it, showing you guys the functions of the platform. So if you guys want to do more contracts, so this number here, you go hit up, and you can see how that number's changed to 2 now. and 3 and 4 and so forth. Basically, that's just how you put in your quantity for the amount of contracts you want to do. And this is probably the harder part about using this platform. You can always use the table, but if you don't want to use the table, then you can use this, which in my opinion is a little faster and a little easier once you get used to it. I know it looks a lot different from any platform you're used to, but for me, this is really easy to use. After you get used to it, you're like, oh yeah, this is much faster. I don't have to look at anything. I just pretty much drag the numbers where I want them. So basically, these buttons here, if you want to move the width over, it basically just changes it one deviation, which, it's up to you. I'd rather just drag them and just customize them. And if you want to hit the strikes, you can move this over. So you can just move the strikes over same thing, another deviation. But it's interesting usage. There are actually other different pieces that you can go into here. So this is really confusing. I don't really like this. Basically, it's just hones in on it, and you can see all the specs on it. But for me, I don't really like that. So I just go to the strategies and I just use the legs. And let's say you guys wanted to just buy a put. What you can do here is right click on the piece that you don't want. Sorry, right click onto this. Sometimes it's hard. Okay. What you can do is double click and then hit exit on that one, and then drag this to where you want to buy, where you would like to buy the put. So if you didn't want to sell premium, which you probably should be doing, but in case you wanted to buy premium, that's how you would do it. So again, what you're going to do is, let's say you want to buy a call, you go here, and then you would double click on here and hit X, and then you can move this over and you can purchase the call or whatever you want to do, rather than selling a vertical or whatever. So but if you wanted to do a vertical like I often do, then you would hit the strategies and then you would hit go. They have other ones too. Obviously, you can see all the ones here. If you want to do a naked, you can go here, short put option. You could do this if you wanted to. Like I said, I usually sell verticals, so I usually do short put vertical or short call vertical. I don't purchase premium, I sell it. So that's how you would do that. So let's start looking at what an order would look like. So let's go down to the expiration, let's say 4 days. I'll move it back here. Okay, so before you even place the trade, you can actually see your specifications here. So if you hit this button, it'll actually spell it out for you here. Max profit is $59, and if the price of AAPL ends up being greater than $151.90, your maximum possible profit is $60. It just changed because its stock must be going down. And then max loss is $390. If the price of AAPL ends up being less than $151.90, your maximum possible loss is $389, and this means by the time of expiration. So if Apple winds up being greater than this by expiration, then you get this much. So basically, their whole ideal at Tastyworks, owned by Tasty Trade, their whole ideal is play the percentages and get a high percentage of profitability, which is right here. How likely you are to profit. The profitability of profit is what the POP stands for. That's what they want you to have. So this has 68%, but that goes up and down based on how the stock moves. So it's not always technically, the truest number. And your extrinsic is here, your IV rank is here, your thetas and your delta, as well as the price, the credit you're going to receive for this. So that's pretty interesting, and you can check all that before you even hit the review button. But in case you do hit the review button, it does the same thing but condensed version. It just tells you how much the max profit is and how much your max loss is. And by the way, that's just for one contract. So it'll change if you hit quantity 2. It'll double up on that. It'll change the information based on how many you put in. So even if you want to do 2 and you want to move this over, let's say you wanted a higher percentage probability here, and then you would just look at the specs here and see what would it look like. So that's pretty cool that they'll show you that. And if you're new to trading, I think this is especially important, and it's a really, really good tool to have because it spells it out for you so that you don't have to necessarily know as much. and then eventually it'll teach you. It's, you know, it teaches you as you go. But when I was newer, when I was using dough.com, which is what they owned previously, and this was basically the layout they had on Dough. You could trade options on it. Was owned by TD Ameritrade, but you were able to use the TD Ameritrade account with Dough, and then so you can see this here. I use this the curve more than I did anything else when I first started learning options on Dough. So they carried it over to Tastyworks because they owned it. And here's the product, and I think it's really good for beginners to use this one right here. And you'll see that now, like I said, if you're new to trading on this kind of platform, then you're gonna notice that it's a lot different. But like I said, it kind of holds your hand and kind of guides you through. So let's look at some other tabs in the web platform. So like I said, this is just the trade tab. On the top here, you'll see it shows the liquidity. So 4 stars means it has high liquidity, 3 means it's pretty high, 2 means it's not that high, and 1 is not high at all. And you'll notice that they kind of have these tools here because they kind of teach this. They teach like you should trade only things with high liquidity and stuff like that. And it shows you today's high, and today's low. And then it shows you the change, the net change, and then the IV rank, which is right here. If you click on it, it actually tells you the IV type. And you'll see here that they actually just integrated its interface. It actually still says Dough on here because it's what they owned previously. So you'll notice that. And you'll see the prices here. And so this is just like the layout here. If you go over to here, it'll tell you this is the correlation. So where this stock is in correlation to some of these other things. Like I said, this is just a basic overview. You can check out these tabs on your own. Over here is what they call an order chain. You can do an order chain if you want. You go over here. This is how many working orders you have currently in progress in work. So they haven't been filled yet, but I don't have any currently. So you'll just see nothing here. If you go here, this is your the events they have. So this includes earnings and some other events. And since there's no earnings on the board right now, because they just it looks like they're going to be announced, you know, in 50 days. That's quite some time. That means there's no events. You go over to this tab, and these are just notable stocks. So this is like a playlist or a watch list rather, and you can change it to whatever you want. You can change it to you know, Tasty Trade stocks or you know, whatever you want. You can change your positions, whatever you think is right. And then you can this is the next tab on the right here. So this just shows why it's notable. So why this stock is notable to people on Tasty Trade. So it's pretty interesting. They integrated this. Now, the interesting thing is that this is the only chart that you get on the web platform. So remember, guys, that I highly recommend you use the desktop platform. They have better charts. This is the only chart that you get. It's not great. Like I said, you can only do 30-day, 1 day even, and you're kind of like, oh, man. So I don't really think this is a great chart for trading with. I think it's really terrible. So if you do use a chart, please use the desktop platform. This chart is not comprehensive enough to show you guys the information you need. And it's just, I mean, you can read it, but it's not very fast. It's not, you know, it doesn't change like it should. I'm going to collapse that right there. So yeah, that's interesting. Up here you also have futures. They have the VIX, NASDAQ, and the S&P on here, or /ES, VIX, and /NQ. Basically, they're just futures they have in the corner, which is good to have up there, and they change like everything else, you know. It's pretty cool. So this is just the one tab here. So I'm going to capsize it and go down some of these here. So that's how you would trade. Basically, what you would do is you'd find the range here. You'd go through it, you'd hit review and send, and then you hit send order, and that's how you get filled. And it only does limit orders. So what you would do here, if you don't get a fill, is you would go on the left here, and you would change the price to, you know, a little bit less or whatever you're trying to do, and then you would get a fill most likely. So like I said, that's how you create an order and get it filled. Let's go into the home page here. So this is what it looks like when you first log on. You have your account here. And yeah, you see that they have these notifications. You have all your information up here. And this is basically just all their Tasty traders, people who work at Tasty Trade that trade. They have all of their trades go in live, so you can trade all these if you wanted to. You can even like click on it and like you can actually trade it. You can hit trade and it'll give you, I mean, it's a closing trade. Obviously you would not want to do that, but like I said, you can, you know, let's see if we find one that they added on. Most of them are closing. So if you hit this one and hit trade, you would mirror that trade exactly how they did it. Obviously you may not have the same buying power that they have, so it might not be something that you know that's good. It's just something that that's interesting, and you know, it's a good aspect for learners. They can see who's trading and what they're trading and how they do it. And if you wanted to mirror the trades, go ahead. It's all up to you. So that's the same idea with this. These are all their traders. You can actually customize and follow who you want to follow. I don't really necessarily use this page because I don't think it's at all, it's not useful to me as much as it used to be. When I was newer, it was useful, but now I kind of just do my own thing. But if you're learning, this is like gold. This shows you, you know, what they're doing and then, you know, why they're doing it. It's really cool. Like I said, your portfolio is here, so these are my positions currently. You'll just see some of the positions that you have in this area. I'll tell you all your information here. If you go to the grid, now this you can organize by however you want. I have the highest IV rank at the top, so these are stocks that are notable that have high IV ranks that Tasty Trade puts on here. So they're just something that goes on their radar, and I can find high IV stocks this way, which is good for options trading. So you can hit IV rank here, or you can hit the implied volatility, or you can hit earnings date. So these are really the closest earnings dates will be at the top. You can hit the last, so the last ones I searched for. You can see, check here, net change. So it'll have the highest up here. And then this is just like a basic, this is called the original. So this is just like, you know, whatever they thought would go in here goes in here. But I keep it at the IV rank, which is pretty cool, which is sweet. So you go into activity here. This is just what you bought and sold. If you use the desktop platform, there is a much better thing that shows you what credits you got for what you sold and whatnot. If you go down to analyze here, you can actually have a journal entry, and you can write a journal entry, you know, and tag a symbol or something in here. Basically, what you know, whatever you want to do. You can create a journal on how certain trades worked out, how they didn't work out, what they mean, what they didn't mean. Pretty interesting. So if you hit this button, I learned it just kind of freezes my the page. You have to hit refresh. So I'm not gonna hit that one, but I'll tell you what it is. Basically, that just shows the Tasty Trade live show that they have on every day. So I would say that if you like watching the show, it's good to have, but it often glitches, and I probably should call them and tell them about that. I find glitches on this platform quite frequently, and they do fix them, but I do have to let them know. So up here on the More tab, this just shows some of your information, nothing crazy. And if you're looking at this green bar, it also that tells you if you're connected to the market or not, or if you're connected at all. That's just if you're wondering, because if you look here, it also shows up here. That shows that you're connected to the market. Like I said, this is probably not ideal for trading, as you don't really have a great chart. So basically, you have no chart. Like I showed you, there hardly isn't any chart, but you basically have no comprehensive chart, and you don't have a lot of the information the desktop provides, especially faster information. Like the stock price change is fine, but you know, like I said, it's not as good as it could be, and they have a lot of work to do, in my opinion. Since this brokerage started, they started a long time ago. I mean, or not a long time ago. They started recently, but I've been on this platform ever since day one when they launched in January of 2017. So I've been doing this a long time. I've been with them quite a while, just learning the platform and showing you guys how it works. So like I said, this is more of a basic overview of how you would place a trade and how you can navigate this. If you guys have any questions, let us know in the comments below. Like, subscribe. We do come up with videos quite often. And remember, guys, that it's always us versus herd, so join us.